I listened to most of that video he was talking about, Mike, and I hate her voice, by the way.
So
oh my goodness.
So let me just introduce this. I don't know if Jack wants to introduce it, but basically, this is the Century 21 CEO. He's actually a real good guy. He's been with Century 21 for, years. He's a lot better than some of the other CEOs that we've had with Century 21. As you can see, the Century 21 Olympian. And we've been with Century 21 now for over 10 years. And he warns of a problem for upcoming generations, which I'm not saying I told you so. Can you play that just for a little bit, Jack? As long as we can get away with it, I guess.
Housing starts. The state of the housing market will be in focus this week. Joining me right now is the president and CEO of Century 21 Real Estate, Mike Miedler. Mike, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks so much. I want to start off with assessing the market for us. Where are we in terms of commercial and residential real estate from your standpoint? And I recognize it differs across the country, but what can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me. Well, I mean, people continue to rethink what they want out of their home and keep pouring into the residential real estate space. I mean, just last week, contract signings were up 4.2% compared to the previous 4 weeks. You've also have median price up 12% plus from the previous 4 weeks. The good news is that inventory is headed in the right direction, right? We can't get enough inventory in the space right now, and that was up 1.5%. So, folks continue to come in, whether it's their, personal home or an investment property, a second home. Real estate continues to be a place where people are putting their money and their investments.
Now, pause it real quick. It was interesting to see as he was talking and they were showing all the builder track homes, and not to say that there couldn't be a partnership with some builders, but typically you're dealing with real estate companies, they're dealing in resale. And then right after that, they come in and they start showing Compass Realty and the home meeting. Mm-hmm. Why no Century 21 signs?
There was one there at the end.
Was there one at the end?
Yeah. That's one of the new Century 21 signs.
These other ones, they're hating on this man. Okay, go ahead.
Strongest areas of real estate in the country right now?
I mean, I think it's really across the board. If you look in August, the South literally held about 46 or 48% of the deal. So you see this kind of trend, Maria, where folks are moving to obviously better tax destinations and better weather destinations for whether that's, this work from home phenomenon where they can work from anywhere and want, just better weather and better tax, or whether they're moving there because they want a second home or a larger piece of property. You see a lot of folks heading to the South from even right here in the Northeast where I live.
Now, he says the South. He never really comes out and says which state, but he definitely says moving south.
Is there any reason to believe that this is bubble territory and that we could see things burst sooner rather than later? What's your take on pricing and whether or not we're going to continue seeing pricing move higher?
Yeah, Maria, I mean, you've literally had the median price in this country move higher for 114 straight months in a row. So, I don't know if we can actually sustain that. I don't think it's actually a good thing. I think prices have to level off, but that's only going to happen with a little bit more inventory. The big kind of problem that I see is when you look at where we are from a country standpoint, literally the macroeconomics in this whole thing is that you've got 90 million millennials, the largest generation in U.S. history, storming the marketplace and really looking for that, dream of home ownership to start building wealth through owning their own property. Behind that, you have Gen Z, who's the next largest generation coming up right behind them. And they're all looking for this piece of the American dream. On top of that, you've got, big issues with what we've been building over the last decade, right? So you've got literally the slowest pace of building since like 1995. We've underbuilt for a decade. In fact, I think the statistic is through 2012 to 2021, there were 12 million new household formations, but we only built 7 million homes. So we would literally have to double the pace of our development in order to keep, the supply that we need for these big generations coming into the market.
Wow. Well, I mean, big generations, but then again, you're talking about millennials, Gen Zs. I mean, they haven't been working for all that long. Do they have the money to pay up for some of these
exactly
homes?
what we was talking about, was we not?
There's that question. And also there's a report out this morning, Mike, that Zillow is going to stop buying homes directly for the rest of the year. It purchased nearly 4,000 homes in the second quarter. They say they're stopping because of the backlog. Your thoughts?
She's educated. She's got a highlighter.
Yeah, so a couple of things there from the millennial front. They really actually won't hit the median age for the first-time home buyer for another 4 years. So they are paying down debt, but there's been tremendous savings, right, in that category as well. And think about this. I mean, we're at a place where interest rates are putting affordability in people's pockets. In fact, folks don't recognize that. Even with the prices where they are today, they're still more affordable than they were literally in the last decade, from 2000 to 2009.
Is that not what you've said, James?
As a percentage of median household income. So prices are affordable. It's just really getting the inventory that these millennials and Gen Zers want and need in order to get into. And a lot of them are moving out of,
I told you what my first house was, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
18.1%, I think it was.
And you took it and you liked it.
I took it and liked it, and I still made money on it.
That's it.
Core centers.
Cash flow was a problem.
We used to see New York City, Boston, LA usually being the hub of where millennials were flooding because that's where the jobs were. This work from home phenomenon, they can really go anywhere. So it's interesting, and they definitely want that piece of the American dream. On top of that, on the Zillow comment, it is interesting because I think that, they talk about buying online, and really folks don't recognize there's 180 steps from the time that you actually make an offer when you see a property online till when you close. And that's why I think you always have to have a real estate expert, a real estate professional who knows the market inside and out and will help you navigate that process.
But people don't understand. They think they can do it themselves. They end up paying more for the property.
They do. They absolutely do.
Get yourself a good real estate agent with Century 21, whoever. I mean, you just better off. You're just better off.
You can't do it.
It's like going to the doctor and saying, well, you need an operation. Okay, well, give me a knife. I'll get that from the kitchen.
I'll do it myself.
And I'll just do it myself, and I'm sure I can work out where my liver is.
Not going to happen. You won't be successful with it at all.
Can you go down to the comments on that, Jack? Because I thought one of the comments was pretty funny.
What was that on the video?
On Mike Miedler's video.
Well, welcome.
What was it? The one that we looked at earlier on? The real estate industry has to be more transparent. Real estate agents are dirty. Not all of them, however. That's the view. And I agree that there's some terrible real estate agents out there. But the truth of the matter is there's some horrible doctors out there.
Absolutely. There's horrible people in every industry.
But
what I have hoped, even with loan officers, is that this type of environment will cut away some of those that are just dabbling. Because quite frankly, this is the kind of one, when the smoke clears, it'll be, the strong will survive. Yeah. Because it's not been easy.
Well, the biggest thing I can say to a lot of buyers for a house and sellers for a house is two things. Never use a part-time real estate agent, and never, ever, ever use a family member.
Oh.
Because a lot of the problems that I've seen in the past have always been either one of them two things. There was another comment in there. Here it is. That one by Constant58. Asking a real estate broker if it's a good time to buy a home is like asking an alcoholic if it's a good time to drink a beer. But the part that I find interesting about that obviously they do not understand is, if this is a low market, in other words, if this is a declining market, then who buys houses? Investors.
Investors get in, yeah.
When we had the foreclosure, I've got one very good friend who was a client of mine. He's still a friend of mine. I think he bought 42 houses.
During the down market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's king of the hill. And when the market's at the top, then interest rates are lower, and it's even getting worse. And what did we say the previous podcast? We said that it's predicted that home prices are going to go up 16%.
Yeah.
by the end of next year. So to me, it's still a good, it's still a good deal.
So do you guys think it's good that you have investors coming in and buying 40 houses?
No,
not at all.
no, I don't.
No.
But that's part of the problem because it's reducing the inventory that people are coming in. But on a low market, I think part of the problem at the moment is people are anticipating a bubble. So they're holding off. It's a bit like Bitcoin, like Jack Wood said earlier on. Well, Bitcoin's at 62, 66, whatever it is. And, I'm going to hold off.
Right.
And that price is going to come down. And I'm going to wait until it's 50. It can't continue to go up. And what happens? The longer you hold off, not always, but,
it can get worse. It can definitely
Bitcoin,
get worse.
I think Bitcoin to me is more volatile than the housing market. But the gains that you make with Bitcoin, I think if you get it at the right time, are obviously more than it would be with a house.
So I think this is for Bitcoin. Well, I don't even know if it's for Bitcoin. It looks like it's just for markets.
Just a market cycle, right?
And I think it's impossible for the housing market to not crash, in my opinion. Now, it might not be because of mortgages, but there's just no way that it makes any sense that over the last 2 years, when our economy has done the worst it ever has, that home prices are at an all-time high and they're getting eaten up. And it's because it's an artificially inflated market.
Absolutely.
And so it's impossible for the market to retrace, in my opinion. Now, why will it happen and when will it happen? I don't know, but it has to retrace at some point. And I personally believe in this stage, we're in the belief stage right now. So I think there's still a thrill and a euphoria stage before we start to recognize in the housing market what it unfolds. Oh, I haven't showed this on the screen. My apologies.
But what I really think is the government, after the last experience that we had in 2008, I don't think the government, regardless who you've got in place, will ever want that to happen again. And I think they will.
Well, no one wanted it to happen.
They will prop up the market.
Well, here's the problem. It prompted up so much with giving people money on these
I agree with
stimulus
that.
checks.
Money is cheap at the moment.
These stimulus checks and giving extra
can I give you an
unemployment
example
and
of
everything.
I
don't know that there's going to be enough because they were bailing out all these companies. I don't think they can do that anymore.
Yeah, you can.
Can I give you an example? Exactly what you said, which happened to us recently.
What?
There was a charitable organisation that gave one of our tenants that we manage the money to pay, because of COVID, to pay 11 months of rent. And that money, when it was dispersed, so the landlord waited for 11 months for their money. And then the check was sent to the tenant. And when the money was received, all right, they only paid 7 months of it. And they kept the rest of the money.
Wow.
And, evictions are taking so long at the moment. Now, to me, that's fraud. And we called up the organisation, and the organisation said, nothing we can do about it. And in the meantime, the landlord's been stiffed. And that is just it. To me, that is the direct definition of insanity. So the landlord is the one that's waiting all this time for the money. They have to take off the late fees to even apply for the program.
And then
it's helping the
tenant
get
all of the money that they were owed.
And then the money is sent to the tenant. It makes no sense whatsoever.
That's unfortunate.
It's not unfortunate. It's utterly ridiculous and fraud.
It is definitely unfortunate.
Well, there's no way that the market doesn't retrace, in my opinion.
Well,
I think it'll level up. I don't think it's going to crash.
I'm just not sure that it'll crash like it did back.
I don't think it will.
Because it was so, to your point, it was so artificially inflated then for other reasons. that's why it ended up.
Well, the problem was
so
because
bad.
the appraisers and everybody
Everybody
was
was
in
in
cahoots.
cahoots. Exactly. They propped it up artificially, and now
I mean, on a property, you could get what 110% loan, 125%,
125
just for
Yeah.
buying the house.
It was stupid. It was the products were stupid. Everything. At least now you got
With the Quality Mortgage Act, I mean, I think it's upset different people because it's a lot more hoops to
Well, you
jump
just got to
through.
qualify for it. But
I think there's a better quality product going out there.
now it's just a matter of you got comparables to support the values. It's just that they're too high.
Do you think the
it'll
market
float
will
off.
crash?
I don't think it'll crash. I think it's going to level off.
That's exactly what I think.
It's definitely going to level off because there's no way.
I don't think it's going to crash at all.
Yeah, at Mike's point, it can't continue like it is.
Right.
So, people just got to wise up.
I think
we brought I think we've kind of created the problem as well.
Of course we have.
Because we've allowed it to happen. So,
I'll go back to the point that I made earlier on. I think it's a disappointment to the 20 to 30-year-olds and 30 to 40-year-olds that, they're not in a position where they can buy a house.
Yeah, unfortunately.
No, I mean, people my age are buying houses, but their parents are of a specific race and usually are in the six-figure income area in a nice
Yeah, but, I mean, I just think it's a disappointment. To me, it's a disappointment as a parent and hopefully a human being and breathing that, I believe everybody should work for what they want. And I don't think we need to be arrogant and all that stuff. And, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't find it, but it's like, I don't think that I should just take things for granted. I think there is a means of working for things, whether you work with your head
right.
or you work physically. A lot of it is application on how successful you are and how hard working you are, regardless it's been mentally or physically. But I just think it would be a much better society for everybody if people were in a position where, not just because I'm not saying this just that I'm a real estate broker, but I believe, I'd like to still believe in the American dream. And there's some people that I know that own ridiculous amounts of houses. And they came from very minimal upbringings, to be perfectly honest, but
that's where we are.
But a lot of that, they're in that position primarily because of the crash. They just happened to have the cash at the time, or the owner that I told you about that had 42 houses even came to me and said at that time, well, the maximum amount of loans I can have is 10.
Yeah.
I need more loans so I can buy more properties. So that, the chances are he could have bought more.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.